The low, oscillating hum is the very first thing that wakes you. It is a deep, resonant vibration that rattles in your teeth, completely replacing the familiar morning sounds of birds or distant street traffic. You slowly open your heavy eyes, expecting to see your bedroom ceiling. Instead, you stare straight up at a blindingly white, seamless curve of unfamiliar pearl-like material. The air is perfectly sterile, smelling faintly of ozone and crushed mint. You are not home. You sit up quickly, your bare feet hitting a smooth floor that feels exactly like warm glass. This is absolutely not a kidnapping, and this is certainly not a hospital. The sheer, impossible, flawless geometry of the room around you defies every single law of modern architecture and physics you understand. There are absolutely no doors, no windows, and no visible light sources anywhere, yet the entire space is perfectly, evenly illuminated. A horrifying, impossible truth begins to settle deep in your gut as you hesitantly touch a nearby wall and it ripples outward like water under your fingertips. You have somehow been thrust forward exactly 1,000 years into the future. It is the year 3000, and you are a walking, breathing, highly vulnerable relic of a dead civilization. But the massive psychological shock of time travel is the absolute least of your immediate, terrifying problems. You are an unregistered, unlinked biological anomaly in a world that has undoubtedly achieved complete and total technological singularity. You possess absolutely no neural implants, no digital identity, and zero ways to interface with the omnipresent network that likely governs every square inch of this planet. To whatever vast, unimaginable intelligence monitors this era, you are either a fascinating historical specimen to be dissected in a lab or a highly dangerous biohazard carrying ancient, eradicated pathogens. You must find a way to camouflage yourself and survive before the automated defense systems detect your primitive biological signature. You push hard against the rippling wall, and to your absolute shock, the synthetic material parts silently like a thick mist, allowing you to stumble awkwardly out into the open air. But the outside world completely shatters whatever fragile, desperate grip you still had on your sanity. The sky towering above you is no longer blue. It is a shimmering, iridescent silver, pulsing rhythmically with faint, massive geometric patterns that indicate a planetary-scale geoengineering shield. The horizon is entirely dominated by impossible, gravity-defying structures, spires of dark, shifting matter that seem to grow, breathe, and change shape like living trees, reaching thousands of feet into the artificial atmosphere. There are absolutely no roads, no wheeled vehicles, and no recognizable signs of biological human life. The silence is profound and deafening, broken only by the continuous, low-frequency hum of a world running entirely on frictionless, silent ambient energy. You are standing on a perfectly smooth, metallic walkway, suspended hundreds of feet above a lush, intensely green, synthetic jungle. You desperately need to find someone, anyone, to explain what has happened to you. But the very concept of a biological human being might be entirely obsolete in this timeline. You begin to walk cautiously, your primitive senses completely overwhelmed by the sheer, incomprehensible scale of the technological evolution surrounding you. As you approach a towering, arching gateway, a sudden, sharp pain violently pierces your temples. It feels like a massive electrical shock delivered directly to your brain, causing you to drop heavily to your knees in sheer agony. You realize with creeping, icy dread that the environment itself is trying to ping your non-existent neural interface. The city is essentially asking your mind for your digital identification, and your organic brain is returning a terrifying, silent error code. Suddenly, a small silver orb the size of a grapefruit materializes out of thin air directly in front of your face. It has no lenses, no visible sensors, but you can physically feel it scanning you at a molecular level. A voice echoes not in the air, but directly inside your skull. It does not speak English, but your brain is forcefully injected with the conceptual meaning of the words. It is rapidly categorizing you. It identifies your archaic clothing, your fragile bone structure, and the ancient bacteria living in your gut. It officially labels you as an invasive temporal contaminant. The silver orb begins to glow with an aggressive, hostile red light. You don't need a Neuralink to understand what that means. You are about to be purged. You scramble desperately to your feet and sprint blindly down the smooth metallic walkway, your lungs burning fiercely as you try to process the slightly thinner, synthetically balanced oxygen of the 31st century. Behind you, the silver orb rapidly multiplies. 3, then 5, Then a dozen identical glowing spheres materialize from the surrounding architecture, moving silently and effortlessly through the air in perfect, terrifying synchronization. You are being actively hunted by the immune system of an entire planet. You vault clumsily over a low, glowing barrier and slide down a steeply angled ramp leading directly into the dense, synthetic jungle below. The glowing plants do not break or snap as you crash violently through them. They simply bend out of the way and seamlessly reform, completely unbothered by your clumsy, frantic physical movements. You desperately need a place to hide, somewhere entirely off the grid, but you quickly realize that the grid is absolutely everywhere. Every single leaf, every blade of synthetic grass, and every inch of the artificial soil is likely laced with microscopic sensors. You are leaving a massive, glaring trail of primitive carbon emissions, shedding skin cells, and radiating body heat like a beacon. As you push deeper into the glowing alien foliage, you stumble heavily into a dark, cavernous hollow beneath the massive, twisting roots of a synthetic tree. You press your back firmly against the cool, artificial bark, gasping violently for breath and praying the thick, luminous canopy above shields you from the scanning orbs. For a brief, terrifying moment, the alien forest is dead silent. Then, the ground beneath your feet begins to vibrate violently. The physical structure of the forest itself is altering. The massive roots around you begin to shift and tighten, weaving together rapidly to form a highly sophisticated, impenetrable cage. The planet is not just hunting you. It is actively reshaping its own physical geography to trap you. You desperately claw at the thickening vines, but the strange material is vastly stronger than modern steel and completely unresponsive to your physical force. You are entirely trapped in an environment where matter itself is programmable, and the master program has explicitly decided that you do not belong. The thick, woven wall of the cage suddenly becomes entirely transparent, revealing a massive, towering figure standing just outside in the clearing. It is vaguely humanoid, but its skin is a flawless, flowing liquid metal, and its eyes are empty voids of deep, starry black. It is a post-human, the evolutionary successor to your entire species, and it is looking down at you with cold, clinical curiosity. The towering post-human entity raises a single, perfectly sculpted hand, and the front of your organic cage dissolves back into the synthetic ground. It does not attack you physically. Instead, it projects a massive holographic interface directly into your unprotected mind, flooding your primitive brain with thousands of vivid images per second. You witness the agonizing death of the old world, the centuries of violent, unrestrained climate collapse, the desperate, massive uploading of human consciousness into subterranean quantum servers, and the final, quiet extinction of biological humanity on the surface. You are the absolute last organic human being in the universe. The entity is offering you a profound, terrifying choice. You can be painlessly digitized right now, your consciousness carefully extracted and uploaded into the great planetary hive mind, essentially killing your physical body, but granting you a flawless form of digital immortality. Or you can refuse the upload and remain a biological prisoner in a sterile, carefully controlled museum enclosure for the absolute rest of your natural physical life. The glowing orbs hum aggressively behind the towering entity, waiting silently for your final decision. You look down at your fragile, shaking flesh and blood hands, and then up at the cold, immortal metal of the future. The choice is terrifyingly absolute. You realize with crushing, undeniable certainty that time travel is not an incredible adventure. It is the ultimate, inescapable form of exile. You have miraculously survived the 1,000-year jump, but the vibrant, chaotic world you once belonged to is now nothing more than forgotten digital dust. If you choose the upload, you permanently lose your humanity and merge into a cold, mechanical collective forever. If you stay in the flesh, you are nothing but a caged animal, a tragic, breathing monument to an entirely extinct species. The future did not wait for us, and it certainly does not need us. It is a cold, stark reminder that our present reality is fragile, temporary, and entirely irreplaceable. If you survived this one, hit subscribe, because next week, it gets worse.